You never know what someone's going through in their day to day.
Made me reevaluate myself. He was sick. That's all.
Block this out. You lose yourself, but then you become the person you didn't want to become.
But seriously though, it is completely in your hands. Our next guest mixes art with energy and has created art for some of your favorite Philly athletes, including Brian Dawkins and Davonta Smith. He's been featured on Fox 29, ESPN, and CBS. Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Spector. Thanks for coming on the pod, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Saving that clip.
If you guys can't see, it's a little bit of a glare, but we have his amazing art here. We have a Sixers piece, an Eagles piece behind me, and then you can't really see this table, but we have another Eagles, his replica piece. They look amazing. And we were talking a little bit before the pod, and how long did they take you to make the Sixers and the
Eagles one was probably the most time ever committed. It took about 2 years to make.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's wild. So when you started it, so 2020, obviously when you started it, or did you finish it? When did you finish it?
I finished it summer 2021.
Oh wow, okay.
I actually started going into the summer of 2019.
Yeah.
Like first I had to just seal the deal on the job. Right?
Yeah.
Because it was the biggest commission project I'd ever had. It also aligned with something that I could only have dreamed of doing, like
right.
a project that I could get funded to do. And then that came to fruition, and then I jumped into it 2019. And I really want to take my time. My client was the greatest guy, like the easiest.
Are you allowed to
work
disclose
with.
who your client was, or no?
I mean, no.
Okay. Okay.
His name's Rob.
Okay.
He's a local guy.
Shout out to Rob.
Lives in Newtown. Big Eagles fan. Shout out to Rob.
I love that.
Cool. That's awesome.
Just a good guy. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We have a lot to unpack. I know we were asking questions before, kind of just like chit-chatting. We have a lot of stuff to unpack, but first things first, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. You are a very successful artist. You're a very good artist. We usually dive into how the artists begin and, where they got their start from and how they go from, having an interest in art to having this kind of collection. That's just insane. But yeah, so Maddie, I'll let you ask the first question. I know you had a few questions, so I'll let Maddie ask a question.
I guess when did you get into art? What age would you say?
So I've been doing creating art since I was a kid. The cliche saying, since I could pick up a pencil, but literally since I could pick up a pencil, I've been drawing. When I was a kid, it was all pencil, all graphite, just sketching stuff, not as much color. And it's cool that over time I eventually transitioned to a lot of color. I love color now.
Yeah,
I used to do all black and white growing up. I'd say the majority of my art background, my knowledge or my skill set is illustrating opposed to painting. So that's what I grew up on.
So what did you go to Temple for?
I went there. I actually have a doctorate degree in physical therapy.
Oh, wow.
What? So if you got, okay, so he's a fellow Temple alum. We love that. We didn't know that till today, but it just, makes sense. It could be so you got a doctorate in physical therapy?
God.
I did. That was my educational route. And I started doing my art actually after I played football at Temple for 2 years. I got hurt, which actually led me back to art just as a way to...
In your recovery process?
Yeah, and just it's therapeutic for me. But this time I naturally gravitated towards sports stuff, and I was doing work for guys that played on the team, who some of which are in the NFL now, so they kind of helped get my name out there.
Reddick, maybe?
Hassan Reddick is one of them,
Hell
for
yeah.
sure. I played with him, Tyler Matakevich, Deion Dawkins, Robbie Anderson.
Matakevich, wow. Dude, you're bringing some names back.
They had a monster squad.
Yeah. What position were you?
Running back.
Oh, really?
I was a walk-on. I didn't see much playing time.
Yeah.
And concussions was the main injury that always scared me, in high school.
Yeah.
And I got another one at Temple, and I was like, dude, I value my brain health over anything else.
Exactly.
And I was like, I probably don't got a shot at the NFL.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a hell of an experience, though, playing there and just being a part of that team. But aside from just that, the connections I made have continued to this day. So it goes a long way. But... What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say. So when did you start taking your art seriously?
So I started doing that, picking it back up as a hobby, and then slowly, people were paying me a little bit of money to do a sketch of their dog, or for some of the guys too, a little bit of money they would throw me. But it was it was fun for me, and I was getting at it. I was hungry to create art. You know? And it just kind of built from there, and I've never stopped. This is 2015.
Wow, okay.
And I never stopped from there. And, cliche, made social media, eventually made a website.
Right.
And over the course of the past 5 years, it's really expanded exponentially.
Yeah.
And I continue doing that at the end of my time at Temple into grad school, because at that time, like, I can't do this full time.
Right.
With all of the cliche beliefs in society that you can't, it's hard to make it as an artist, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that was constantly being put on me.
Right.
And I continued doing it, finished school, which was really tough to do.
I mean, you're running a business, and also
grad school's no joke.
in school, especially Mad's in grad school right
Yeah.
now, so she gets it.
Yeah, so you get it.
Yeah.
But, you know, as soon as I was done, of course, my time opened up a little more, and it was really from that point on that things just took off. You know?
That's awesome.
So yeah,
that's pretty cool.
2019.
Yeah, so you
wow.
so you have obviously been on your social media, and you have a very good social media account. Like I said, you emphasize more reels and videos, and the content is very good. So where did you get that itch from to like really start posting on social media? Like, when did that begin?
I've gravitated more and more over the years towards enjoying making content.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, if I wasn't a visual artist, I would probably be a content creator, photographer, videographer. Like, I love content.
Oh, cool.
And I wish I did more of it. Like, I wish I was on TikTok in 2020.
Yeah.
I'd
You're
be
doing this and stuff on the camera.
whatever, man. Like, everything was hitting back then.
Right, exactly.
It's harder now, but
Yeah.
I love content, and as you know, content is king.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to make new stuff. I'm always trying to get content, even for like ads that we're running, whatever the case is. I'm always trying to document everything I do.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It goes a long way.
That's awesome. So let's go back to, so you mentioned you started with pencil back when you were a kid, and you started working more at Temple, really, or emphasizing like your art and really taking it seriously. When did the first big like client come in, or what was that first big where it's like, oh, like this is a real business, like this is a real thing?
Yeah, people ask me that all the time, or like what my favorite piece is, which might be no question.
Yep.
But
That's
One of my
mad.
questions.
and for me, it's just been stepping stones. It's just been consistency over and over again. You hear it so much in business or in success, like you got to be consistent, but it's so true. Like you just got to work hard and be consistent. That's it, pretty much.
Yeah,
you got to love what you're doing.
Yeah.
So like one of the first cool things for me, just being a childhood fan, is being able to connect with Brian Dawkins.
Yes,
and
that's super cool. And
I'm actually meeting with him this Friday to get some prints signed, because every year we re-up on some prints signed by him that we sell. But he's just a great guy, and being able to finally connect with him and have him feel like he's a part of my brand, and really speak to like the art with energy vibe that I try to give off.
Right.
It was just so cool. So that was really one of the first moments, because the first time I got to link up with him was 2018.
Okay, how'd that come about?
I love these stories of how these things come about.
I love it, dude. Brian Dawkins is one of my favorite Philly athletes of all time.
Me
so
too.
I'm down to
And
hear
even
this.
like, and I told him this too. Like, I'm sure so many kids have the same story. But like high school, I would watch all the Weapon X highlight films before every game, because it would get me so juiced up.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, like, you know, you're literally a legend in Philly.
Yeah.
But he's such a nice guy too, like off the field.
Yeah.
So how that happened
I'm
was,
sorry. Does he live in Philly?
he lives in Florida.
Oh, he lives in Florida. Okay.
Yeah, he's actually from Jacksonville.
Okay.
He's a Duval boy.
Yeah.
So he is from Florida originally. But he's up here a lot. Back
Okay.
and forth. But how that came to be, the first time I met him was I got invited to an event because a customer bought a print off of my Etsy page back then and left a note saying, hey, like, can't wait to get this signed by Brian Dawkins or something like that. I was like, oh, like I reached out. I was like, hey, what do you mean? Like, he's going to be at this event? He's like, hey, yeah, actually, the owner of this property, like, might want to have you come out and bring some auction items.
Oh, wow.
And I was living in Florida at the time because of one of my rotations for school. I was living with a buddy down there. Shout out Jalen.
Shout out to Jalen.
And so then, like, all of a sudden, next thing I knew, I was on a flight for like a weekend to go up there, go to this event. I brought like artwork I had at the time to like sell for charity. They had like a charity thing going on.
Right.
But with the same purpose of giving Brian Dawkins a massive like canvas of this artwork that I made. And we did all this content and stuff, and like
That's
had
so
these
cool.
awesome pictures with him. And then it was like, all right, like, but I want to have a personal one-on-one with him to be able to actually present it to him. Say, hey, this is actually for you.
Yeah.
It didn't happen right away. But about a year later, you're not gonna believe like so many weird things that happened, right? But I was in my next rotation in Jersey about a year later, and I had a client there who used to be a coach for the Eagles. Old guy, awesome guy. So many great stories. Like, you know, this
Jimmy Johnson?
No.
was
I forget what he coached, either running backs or something like that.
Okay.
But well-respected coach, back in the day, and has a great relationship with Brian Dawkins and his wife.
Oh,
so he I got really close with him, just treating him every day.
That's really cool.
And he sent his wife a picture and said, "Hey, this guy would love to connect with you guys," and he said he would literally fly it down there to you. So then eventually I was able to get a date to fly down to Florida.
Yeah.
Met up with him and his wife in a parking lot. Brought my video guy, shout out James.
Yeah.
Who came back all the way back then, and we got all this great content.
That's really cool.
And I gave it to him and stuff, dude.
That's awesome, man.
Awesome.
So, listen, take notes, man. The network, and building relationships.
It's all about.
Yeah. It's a. I guess I've noticed this. I say it all the time, but you notice a common theme. It's like when you match consistency with your passion and also building relationships, you don't know where it can take you. And
it happens so fast sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you've had a lot of media coverage. You mentioned ESPN, CBS. How did that come about as well? What was your first piece of media coverage that you received throughout your art journey?
I just want to mention something really quick too to that same story. That same guy who invited me to that house for that event is the same guy who commissioned that piece.
Oh, really? Okay.
I built a relationship with him.
Shout out to Rob, right?
Huge Eagles fan. Guy's well off, worked hard for it. And he came to me with that idea, the same idea that I had of something I wanted to do, but it's like, damn, this is going to take forever.
Yeah.
I have to figure out a way to fund it.
I mean, I can only imagine this thing probably,
and as an artist or a creator, you got to get paid somehow for your time, or how are you going to live? So,
right.
But it worked out in that way. Anyways.
No, I was going to say well, first off, I actually want to, since you mentioned this painting, I want to ask we'll transition into media, but I want to start off with your process. So when you get asked to do a mural or an art piece such as this, or a Sixers one, where does your process begin in that? Because it's you noticed a lot of little steps that lead up to one big step. So where does your process start?
So it really starts at understanding what the client wants. And then, because the more information I can get, the better I can execute on it.
Right.
And then I like to have a little bit of freedom, creative freedom to do what I want to it. Right. So I get that done. And then sometimes half the time is just a research into pictures, into the history if it's something I'm not as familiar with. The Eagles one, my time starts at Dawkins era, but anything before that in the piece, I really had to do my research.
Right.
So it took so long just researching, debating, doing fan surveys, who should be in this thing, because there's so many players from the past. Right. And it's not about who's not in there, it's about who's in there, do they deserve to be in there. Same thing with pieces like this that are more than one player.
Right.
But yeah, so I figure that part out first, and I lay it out to know exactly, or for the most part, what I'm gonna do. Right. And then I usually will run it by the client, or just say, hey, you cool with this, you cool with that, boom, and then I'll get after it. And once I know what I want to do, it's easier, because creating the art, that's what I am quicker at sometimes than just the thought process.
The process and the concept probably takes a lot longer.
Because something like these, man, I mean, there's a lot of thought that went into it as far as making it a scene and not just a collage.
Right.
Because it's a scene, or that's at least what I tried to portray.
No,
and tie it all into one masterpiece.
Yeah, of course.
Because I could just make any old collage, which takes time too, but it's much easier than trying to make it look like an actual.
Doesn't have that wow factor to it, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
because they're so realistic.
Yeah, these are nuts.
Insane.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Yeah, these are really so. And is it with paint? I'm a bit of an artist myself. I actually drew you something. I drew you something. So.
You're going to love it.
You can sell it if you want, okay? It took me a while to make.
I don't know if I should show it.
You could show it. You can show it to them. Listen, you have some competition now, dude. So listen, you can.
I think we might have to do a live bid right now.
I agree. We'll go on Insta right now.
$1.
Tell Brian Dawkins, there's another artist in town.
Hey, Doc, I got this guy. Big fan. He drew this for you.
Show it to the crowd. You can show it to the camera. Look at that. I don't even know if he'll pick it up, but that's for you. That's for you. All jokes aside, but
dude, hey, it's the thought that counts. Though,
exactly.
That's pretty funny.
It did take me 3 minutes to do, not 3 years like your other paintings, but I wanted to leave you with something as well. I mean, dude, like I said, just bringing these pieces here, and and really seeing it for myself, because like honestly, like Instagram doesn't do him justice.
No, literally.
You know what I mean? Like we were
Like,
looking at
at
earlier, and
all.
it's like it's insane the detail, even from like the coaches in the background talking to the players, and you know it's like even the Sixers bunny, like I am, what was it, hip hop, right?
Hip hop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it's just crazy, like stuff like that.
Did you just call him a bunny?
He is a bunny, right?
He's a bunny?
Little bunny.
Hip hop. Yeah,
Wait.
yeah, man. Look, that makes
That's
sense.
No,
what I thought.
I
he
thought
is,
you were talking
or
about
was a
Franklin.
bunny.
That's why I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So, okay, so kind of diving back into the media coverage, like you've gotten great coverage, and where did it begin? Like, what was the first piece of coverage you got to where obviously, because once you get one, I feel like kind of snowballs, right? I mean,
It does snowball, or it just kind of compiles over time. Just like being consistent too, and just putting yourself out there, you're gonna get like opportunities. Most of the time, come to me,
Right.
And you start to realize that because it used to be like, man, like I'm trying to make all these things happen. Why aren't they happening?
right.
You can't force it a lot of the time. You got to wait for it to happen,
Right.
and it just happens.
Yeah.
Even getting commissioned to do something, if you just put yourself out there, like as an artist, for example, usually the business is gonna come. If you're
Right.
good at what you do
Right.
and you're showing results and you're growing, it's just gonna come, right?
Yeah, it's the compound effect of putting the little pieces of effort in every day to where it builds into one big thing. It's like I said, it's so common, and especially with you, like, do you ever feel when you were in your art career, like you were rushing yourself almost, like thinking like, dude, I need to do this now?
Yeah,
You know?
I all the time, even to this day, sometimes still, but I've gotten much better at being patient because I used to be very impatient, right? Because
Right.
you want things now, or not you want things now, you just want to see something happen. You feel like you've been working so hard. Why
Right.
hasn't my time come yet?
Right.
And it'll come.
Yeah,
if you're
100%.
consistent, if you're working hard, if you're good at what you do,
Yeah.
all those. It's
I
gonna
mean,
come.
right now you have all three, right? You have all of the aspects of it. Yeah, Matt, I have a question for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like so off that point, like the LSU piece that you just did, and like when you were in Atlanta. Well, Atlanta's a different story, but like flying out for LSU and having that coverage recently, like how was that? That was your first stadium piece,
First
right?
stadium piece, yeah.
So how was that?
That was cool, and that that's one of those compiled media opportunities,
Right.
Yeah.
and just trying to make the right connections or keep a relationship with somebody who I know is a good guy, Matt Moscona, down in Baton Rouge, and just staying in touch with him, and showing him new work that I do. Man, that guy's awesome.
Yeah.
He puts me on hard, like
Yeah.
even like me putting together a plan, he takes to the next step, which.
That's pretty cool.
So I commend him. Shout out Matt. But yeah, so first time I went on his show 2 years ago, 2020, I did this Joe Burrow thing after they won the championship of him smoking the cigar.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the first things I did that not only went viral, but it was the first like non-Philly piece that I did in a
Right.
while.
Yeah.
Just because I loved him as a player coming up.
Yeah.
And loved his story, and I made this piece in like a week.
Oh, that took
I
you
didn't even-
Wow.
I
a
didn't-
week?
Like a week, yeah.
Wow.
Like a week. Just because like the timing of it.
You're
like,
probably
it was
fired
like,
up too. Like, I gotta get this done.
Gotta
Like,
get this done.
yeah.
But that night I went to work on it. Like I knew right away what I wanted to do. Sometimes
Yeah.
it takes longer to figure it out.
yeah.
But I banged that thing out quick, and it blew up. Like prior to this day, like the Eagles won, Sixers won, like they went viral too in their own way. But
Yeah.
that was the first one that was like, whoa,
Yeah.
what is going on right now?
That's awesome.
And that led to this whole trip in Baton Rouge where Matt Moscona invited me down for ESPN and these other media opportunities. I went to like Mardi Gras too. Like,
let's go.
it was like, man, this is addicting doing this business travel, but having fun and meeting people. It's just
Yeah, have a mix of both.
one of the best parts of it all.
Right.
But I met him from that. He put me on, and then I've come on a couple more times since then. And this latest LSU stadium piece I did was another commission job. And I told him about it, and it was perfect timing to bring it down there for the SEC championship game.
Oh yeah.
Which is ironic because I have some ties to the Georgia community too, because I've done stuff down there for like Stetson Bennett earlier this year, and I work with a group called the Players Lounge with like Web3 stuff. So it was a great timing thing,
Yeah.
and he invited me down. I flew I shipped the artwork down, flew down separately, and brought that there.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
That's
so-
awesome. When we'll touch on this for like a second, but you mentioned Web3. Like, were you into the crypto? Were you making NFTs? Are you doing all that? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love it all, and I just know that it's the future.
Yeah.
Whether people like it or not, it definitely is the future. NFTs are powerful. There's many scams out there. There's many good things out there.
Yeah.
But it's just the nature of the beast with a new
Yeah.
a new thing.
Yeah,
I can't think of a
yeah,
better word,
like a something punk. I honestly was never really into the crypto that much, but I would see everyone on the internet was on it and stuff.
yeah.
So you mentioned all this travel. You recently were in Atlanta, correct?
Mm-hmm.
For what were you there for?
So there was multiple opportunities that aligned because I had to fly the original artwork.
That's got to be nerve-wracking too, right?
Yeah, and I have a friend who works for American Airlines who I pretty much buy her companion pass.
Okay.
Every airline worker gets a companion pass, it's called. Yeah. So I pay her for that, and I use that just because I'm flying so much.
Yeah.
Which is basically you get standby. Not always guaranteed to get on, but usually it works out. Mm-hmm. But it's so much easier. Like I could look right now for flights tonight and probably catch a flight if I really needed to.
Give Maddie a companion pass. She loves to travel.
Literally, I'm like, oh, I need to invest in one of these.
And even before I did that, like she would just tell me, hey, why don't you just work for the airline for 2 days a week? Like a lot of people do that just to get the benefits.
Oh snap!
Yeah,
Matt's looking
I'm like,
at that.
Kev, when you see me overnight at the airport, don't ask questions.
Because she was just in Nashville, and she loves Nashville, and she loves traveling.
Yeah.
I want to go there. I've never been there.
Really? Oh my God, you have to go. It's like the most unreal experience.
I want to go to Nashville, Memphis, that whole area.
Yeah, I went to Nashville for the first time in May of 2021. Mm-hmm. And it was unreal. Booked a trip back the following month in June. And while I was there in June, asked bars if they would hire me on as a bartender. Because I was like, I'm moving. Like, I'm going there. I'm young enough.
She's hustling. Yeah.
So,
she did it. Yeah.
And a week and a half later, I flew out and lived out there for 7 months. Was bartending on Broadway.
Crazy.
That's amazing.
And now I like have friendships out there that will last a life. So I just go all the time and visit. Yeah.
I love that.
It's
That's
unreal.
all about.
Yeah.
Unreal.
And so kind of like hitting on that a little bit. So are you exclusively sports pieces?
Now I am, yeah. I mean, if something big came down the pipeline that was not sports related, I might take it on. But I've already got enough work to handle, which is all sports stuff. And I have a partnership with Fanatics now too.
Okay,
oh, that's
over
awesome.
the past
that's
year
really
and a half
cool.
now. So I do a lot of work for them. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So
good, man.
kind of,
Obviously, the cameras. Go ahead.
Again, similar like storyline. Do you think that it still feels like surreal, like getting to meet new players, or do you think it's kind of like normal for you now?
I've learned to try to not make the moment bigger than it is.
Okay.
Same with like media opportunities or whatever. Like I feel very comfortable now when I talk on the news, whatever the opportunity is. Like I don't skip a beat usually. But every now and then you'll get like starstruck with the right person or whoever you relate to. But yeah, usually like I'm pretty cool about it now. And I don't like to make the moment bigger than it is just because you don't want to make that person uncomfortable. Right.
Ignore me.
You don't want to make that person uncomfortable either. You just want to treat them normal because they want to be treated normal most of the time. So. Yeah,
it's a pretty valid point, actually. I was listening. Yeah, because you want to pretend like you've been there or like you're supposed to be there.
Yeah, on your end, you want to act professional, act like you've been there.
Yeah.
Try to build a relationship too and not be like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I want to dive into your personal life. You're traveling a lot. You were just in You live in Costa Rica. What's the plan? What's going on with Costa Rica? You mentioned you dropped Costa Rica. You're like, hold on a second.
There's a lot of personal things coming out tonight. Now. Yeah. But I don't put it out there that much. But I do live in Costa Rica most of the time.
Okay.
My girlfriend lives there. Shout out Eskel. She's Costa Rican.
Okay. Hell yeah. I was gonna ask that too because you're traveling all the time.
That's the only reason I go there is because of her.
God, that's awesome.
Well, I mean.
Yeah, but
she's the reason I go there, but
you're the only reason why he goes there. Okay, no kidding. But no, yeah.
But it's also a beautiful place.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I met her about 3 years ago now in a couple weeks.
That's amazing.
I met her just traveling with two friends of mine once I was done school.
Wow.
Who travel all the time, and like I could finally go on a trip.
Yeah.
And I met her. We hit it off pretty well, and I actually went back on my own to visit her.
Oh, okay.
And actually, this is going into 2020 before COVID.
Oh, wow.
So COVID comes March, right? Mm-hmm. And I really like this girl. And all my obligations fell through in 2020 in March. And there was threats of the borders closing for other countries. So I said, screw it. I'm leaving. And I flew down there to be with her. And I got stuck there for 4 months.
Oh my God.
That's wild.
And some of my favorite pieces till to this day I made down there. Like the Kobe one I did, the MJ one I did.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was a very, I will never forget that time of my life because I watched everything that unfolded here from abroad, and it was a totally different perspective.
Right. That's amazing.
That's so
cool.
cool.
I feel very grateful that I was able to be there during that time.
And so how does the long distance work then? So how often you get to see her? Like
a lot. I'm there more than I am here.
Okay.
Which has been more gradual. If you care about something that much, you'll make it work. And now I'm pretty much there except for this time of year, about this 6-week period from mid-November to the end of the year,
right.
I have to be here because there's so much going on. But usually I'm there during the month, and I'll be back about once a month for something I got to do, but I'll like align everything I got to do back here for that week,
right.
get it done, and then go back.
I mean, she seems like a very supportive girlfriend. I mean, to be, that far away and to be you still being able to do what you do, you know, and as busy as you are. So shout out to her for being supportive, and that's awesome. And
she teaches me directly and indirectly because she's a hustler as well. She's a business owner. She has her own spa down there.
Oh, nice.
So I get the VIP treatment every time.
That's awesome. You get the little Matty Petty.
Yeah. Oh, everything, man. She even waxes my nose hairs. And she's like, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. I'm like, hey, babe.
She groomed the beard too.
That's all me.
That's awesome though. So, going to that, I guess as well. Like, I want to dive into art and what it does for you as well. Because everyone has a reason for what they want to do, like what they do, what they love to do. So, what does like art do for you, like mentally?
When I'm in the moment, when I'm creating, it's relaxing a lot of the time. I lose track of time.
Yeah.
Like I'll be, I'm a night owl. I feel like a lot of creatives are. I don't know why that is, but sometimes I can't even start creating throughout the entire day until the sun goes down and I'm like in my little bubble.
I'm the same exact way. I don't do anything important until like 8 on.
Like the whole day flies by. I'm doing all this like logistical stuff, like coordinating stuff, and then like I'm like, damn, all this time passed. I didn't do any art today. And then I begin at like 9 p.m. till 2 a.m. or
that's crazy.
Sometimes an all-nighter.
And you have you have. I know Matt had a question.
No.
I was gonna say.
Like, I don't think so.
No, I was gonna say like, do you do like? So you have a set amount of time you choose to like create? Like, do you like okay from like 9 to 2? I'm gonna sit and work on this, or do you like just go with the flow?
It's all over the place.
Yeah. Okay. I figured that.
I'm not gonna lie. It is not clean or perfect. It is all over the place.
Sometimes, but that is what makes it perfect.
Listen, procrastinating works.
Yep.
Like you saw me with my laptop when you first walked in. I was doing an assignment. Like it'll be 2 a.m. and he'll make fun of me. We'll be out and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to do this assignment. Like middle of being out, I'm like on my phone doing it. He's making fun of me. I'm like, whatever.
We had a night. It was me, Maddie,
and my best work happens then.
Yeah, it was so me, Maddie, and our friend Megan. She's the founder of our nonprofit that we work with. We were us three were hanging out doing Christmas stuff, and she goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, I have a homework assignment due." I'm like, "Bro, what? It's like midnight. Like, are you kidding me?" She's like, "It's due at 1:30 or 2." I'm like, ridiculous. But
I remember those days.
I'm like, listen, I have to go do it, and like honestly, those situations, like I went to Florida in February. I was doing an assignment the second our plane landed. Like before we went out, everyone's getting ready and I'm sitting there doing an assignment. But every time I do that, I get like 100.
That's a whole new level.
So it's like,
when you're pressed to
yes, because I'm
quickly,
under pressure now, so I have to do it. So it's gonna be good because I know I have to get it done.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I could try to start like a week early, and I'm like, no, I know I have time for this, so it's fine.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
exactly. I've been there so many times.
Yeah. But with like the temple aspect, like, would you ever have pictured your life and career going this way?
Honestly, no.
Yeah.
I put certain projections out there. Like I know that I feel like I'm going on the right path here. Things just kept falling in line, and there's been many, many tough times too. But it just continues to work out, and that's the thing. That's like the biggest indicator that I'm doing something right,
Right.
Because even at this point, like I don't know what's going to happen in 3 months.
Right, exactly.
Business just keeps coming, and like working with Fanatics now, for example, is really amazing. And I'm super grateful for that because that's almost like a job as far as just like projecting what type of income you're going to have and knowing you already have that work lined up on top of other stuff you're doing.
Right.
So,
Yeah, well, your life can change so much in 6 months. I mean, like I always say, because it's like like everything can just change, whether it's like something happens, good or bad, So when you were at Temple and you're even growing up, like were there things that you had a tough time with? Anything in your life that you felt like changed you in like a period of time?
I think it was just lack of confidence, and like even art, like anything, like just lack of confidence, and I'm not sure where that came from exactly, but once I started playing football, which is another passion of mine, that confidence got uplifted. Because I always felt I had the grit and the talent for it, just playing like backyard football with the boys.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like, but that's kind of where my confidence came from initially, and like felt like I had a purpose or felt like I
Right.
had something that I'm
Right.
working towards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was tough times with that, and then just in general, like the whole grind to this point,
Right.
in our career. There's many ups and downs, and just a lot of gut shots. Even this year, I've had gut shots. You know what I mean? But you got to just learn how to manage them and move on to the next thing.
And go ahead, Maddie. Go ahead.
So just like, right, like bottom line, mental health podcast. So something I wanted to touch on, like I know what you're saying, it's like reminding me so much of like my brother right now, but I know a lot of athletes struggle. So like something you mentioned earlier was like with football, your biggest thing being your focus on your brain and like the concussions, right? So my brother just was supposed to go to Westchester for football. Same thing happened, got a concussion, and he was like, I can't keep doing this. He'd gotten so many that it was to the point where he's like, I have to put my health first. So what would your like biggest piece of advice be for like athletes in that position of like moving forward? Because like the lack of confidence, right? Like football or any sport for that matter is often like a source of confidence in that. And then when you lose that, especially if it's like your biggest thing, like moving forward from there, like what advice would you say like got you through it?
It's so tough, you know, transitioning from playing a sport all your life that you're super passionate about, and then get to that point too of playing at like a decent university too, and having it all come tumbling down. And that was a decision to quit on my end, you know. And I'm like not a quitter, you know.
Yeah, for sure,
like,
for sure.
You know, but I just took the medical advice, the doctor's advice, and looked at everything going on. So that was super hard. I was emotional. I cried. It was rough.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where did that put you mentally? Like once you made that decision?
I was at a rough spot because I'd worked so hard to even get to that point. I trained for a year prior to that because I didn't play till my sophomore year at Temple. Because initially I didn't go to school to play, and I missed it so much. I was like, dude, like I got a shot. I got a shot at this.
Yeah, it's try out. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
But yeah, it was cool because I think they brought it back. You can try out. You can be a walk-on, like literally showing up, running a 40-yard dash, doing all this stuff.
Wow, like a combine.
Yeah, and there was a couple guys that had made it when I did it too. One of them went like all 4 years, which is amazing.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, that, you know, so going through all that and then having it just all come to an end, you know, was like, damn. But there was a massive silver lining.
Yeah, I mean,
But what got you through it?
Yeah, huge silver lining. Yeah,
and I think that to your point, my advice would be to not get down and to, you know, surround yourself with stuff that makes you happy immediately after, and just know that you have so much ahead of you.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, so
your
young.
sport is only a small piece of the puzzle,
right?
And I think football is great, or any team sport, because it builds a lot of characteristics that you might not find elsewhere in life. And that's where I get a lot of my drive and my work ethic from is football. So yeah, but I think that you just gotta surround yourself with what makes yourself happy and take it slow,
right?
Because there is so much ahead,
right?
After.
And so, where did you start this? Because I can only imagine probably the 6 months after that, the year after that, when you kind of came to that realization your career was over. When did things start to turn around?
It was gradual. It wasn't right away. It took time. Which is where the whole patience thing kind of comes into.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of ups and downs to that, you know, like just got more into partying.
Right.
And like just feeling crappy sometimes.
Yeah. Hungover all the time.
And when you drink and you have that that underlying that's it. But when you're in a bad spot mentally and you're drinking on top of that, it's just like you're not happy. So it takes time, but you just got to work through it and let it work itself out.
Did you take any specific steps you can remember that really contributed to your gradual change?
Well, I think for me, it was getting back to my roots of drawing, because I hadn't done that for probably 2 years.
Right.
Because I went to college at Temple, and in high school I took art classes all 4 years. Nobody even really knew that about me.
Yeah.
I had certain artwork that sometimes my teacher would put into art shows. Like sometimes I won like first place. I was like, oh damn, like that's awesome.
That's
you know,
pretty
like
cool.
and I knew I was good at art. But I would have never thought, especially in high school like that, I could make this a career.
Yeah.
But I had gotten away from it so much. First year of college, and then second year with football, and then but finally got back to it, my senior year at Temple.
It's so interesting how that those types of things happen, because when you're younger, I don't think you look big picture ever. You're always thinking like, okay, what I'm in school now. What party am I going to go to this weekend, or what assignment do I have to do? Mm-hmm. But I think the older you get, the more you realize that the things you're passionate about can truly turn into a business, can turn into a career. And that's like, because I used to rush myself when I was younger too. Like, I'm like, oh, like, what am I doing in my life? Like, I have no direction. And then all of a sudden, it gradually, like you kind of mentioned, gradually starts to build to where you start seeing those passions you have or those aspirations you have can turn into something bigger than itself, Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people can take advice from, like, take a piece of that, of your story, and realize, like, hey, just because you're in college playing a sport doesn't mean that's going to be, like, the end-all, be-all if it ends, So transitioning into obviously back into the art, what are your plans for the next 5 years? Like, where do you see yourself? Where does Jordan Spector see himself, like, ultimately?
It's a big question. Making me think. That's like a very fatherly question.
Sorry, well,
I can't say for sure, but I want to just keep building what I've already grown. I want to keep that momentum going,
right.
And I don't plan on stopping. And I feel I wish I was younger. I'm 30 now.
Right. You're still young, man. Trust me. I'm 26, and like you're young. Trust me.
Meg's taking that clip of you saying that and holding it against you.
Meg, if you don't watch this, because Meg just turned 30,
and he's been giving her hell for it. But he's like, oh, you're old now.
In the grand scheme of things, when it comes to your career, like, you are young. Like, seriously, like, if you work your ass off the next 5 years, you could be one of the biggest artists in the country or world, or in Costa Rica, and you'll only be 35. Like, it's true, because I do a lot of research. I research people. That's like what I like to look and watch and listen, and like, your whole life can change in a year. Like, we know, like, and I'm not saying this because I like endorse him, but Andrew Tate, for example, right? He's 36, 37, right? He didn't start popping off till like 35, or 36, So your whole life can change in a year, and you know what I mean. So just because you're 30 doesn't mean it's like you're old,
Yeah, no, for sure. And a lot of my good artist friends that I look up to, or I just love their work, or we just go back and forth on ideas. Like, a lot of them have 5 to 8 years on me.
Yeah.
So that does make me feel good to know that, hey, like, I guess I had an early start.
Yeah.
But it also goes to show that, like, you can start whenever.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter what age you're at.
Yeah.
Like, my one friend, Justin Waddington, shout out Justin, one of my favorite artists, really great guy as well. He's blind in one eye, and he's the most talented artist that I know, just like raw talent.
Yeah.
Just created, like, his stuff is insane.
That's wild.
You should check out his work.
Yeah, 100%. I'll absolutely check him out.
But he, similar to me, like, he drew when he was younger and then stopped doing it for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And then finally picked it back up. I'd say, I guess when he was maybe like 30, I don't know exactly, but and now he's making it pretty big too.
That's so cool.
And he's like, I don't know, 38. Sorry, Justin, I forgot your age. But I know he's got some years on me. But
And art takes time to build your craft. It's like when you started young, and who knows where we're gonna be in the next 5-10 years. It's gonna be scary to see like how even much better,
like,
if that's possible. So what would you say are some things that you want to work on moving forward as an artist? Because obviously you always want to get better.
Organization.
A good one. That's good.
Organization and delegating, very specifically.
Okay.
This year I brought on a couple more people to help with the things that I either don't want to do, shouldn't be doing, whatever the case is. But the goal, I think, for any artist, it's really grown this thing into a legit business. Trying to grow every year is you gotta have people around you doing the things that they're best at. And I've become very good at many things, even the content too. Like, I love it.
It's
but
good. You're good.
It takes so much time. I probably never let that completely go. But my plans are to just try to start bringing on the right people and delegating. And
you can always have a say. You can always have a say in how you want it, obviously. But to have someone like maybe put a little bit more of the effort so you can work on the art.
Yeah. But the goal is to get to the point where all of my time is spent creating. If I could get to that point, that I feel like that will take me to another level.
Absolutely.
So that's a big goal of mine, to try to get that to happen.
Okay.
So this might be a dumb question, but for someone that like has no artistic abilities, right? Like, what's the process of like the replica? Does that make sense?
So the replica.
I'm not gonna lie, I was wondering too.
It depends how I create it,
Okay,
but
good.
usually, if I do it like anything digitally, I'll have a file of it. If I do like a larger canvas, I'll get it scanned in a flatbed scanner. Usually, I used to get stuff photographed, drawings that I would do or whatever the project was. But I found that getting it scanned gives it better quality.
Right, for sure.
When you go to reproduce it.
Yeah.
But if you get the right lighting and photographer as well, then that could be done well too. So either works.
Right.
That's my point.
Okay.
But yeah, so you need to get a final file of the artwork so that you can replicate it.
Right. Yeah, no, because like I'm such a great artist, and I was curious about that too, because I'm gonna get that scanned, you know. So I want to go into who. So what are you laughing at, Mads? No.
Art.
So who do you see as like an inspiration to you?
An inspiration to me. Well, honestly, Justin, who I brought up, he inspires me. The stuff that he does and knowing what he's been through to get to the point he's at. There's multiple artists that I guess inspire me, just knowing how they got to where they're at.
Is there anyone who inspires you outside of art?
Outside of art, I mean, well, growing up, Brian Dawkins.
Yeah.
inspired
Oh
me a
hell yeah.
lot.
That makes it so
man.
much cooler then.
Yeah, and certain athletes too, like either like inspiring the drive and also like the passion to want to create a piece of artwork of them,
Right,
like Joe
right.
Burrow, right? Like,
Yeah.
It teaches you many things about what can be done. Or like Stetson Bennett right now at Georgia. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
There's going to be a whole movie about that guy because
yeah.
if he wins his second championship, I don't know if you're into college football.
Is he a player? I'm not familiar with him.
Yeah, so Stetson
Honestly.
Bennett he grew up like a huge diehard Georgia fan, and since he was a kid, he wanted to be the quarterback at Georgia, but he never got his shot. He was like undervalued, smaller kid, never got recruited by like Georgia.
Right.
And he floated around in college for a while, played at like smaller schools.
That's really cool.
And then came back. They finally took him as like a scout team player. Everybody got injured last year, and he got the chance to play, and they ended up winning the national championship. He's already a legend there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
He's taking your shot, man,
And
when
then,
you have the opportunity.
And then throughout the whole process, he had all these fans, no matter what he did, continuing to bash him, like, get this guy out. He can't do it. He can't get it done. Won the championship. And
they're
then,
number one seed right now.
Yeah, and then even after all that, they're like, okay, thank you, now leave.
Wow.
Came back again.
That's
And
insane.
people did not like that, and he is now in the final for the Heisman running.
That's so
Oh, that's
cool.
awesome.
That's actually a really cool story.
Yeah, like I think it's the coolest thing. So I made a piece of artwork of him earlier this year.
That's really cool.
That's one of my favorites. Yeah, but just like cool stories like that in sports that
Right.
that can inspire you in so many ways, not only to create artwork but also just what it took to get there.
Right.
Reminding you of like you put your mind to anything, you could do it. You know.
Yeah, and that's really impressive that you're able to depict that in a painting as well. Like, you know what I mean? Just to see like the expressions, the emotion on the players' faces, like that takes a lot of talent. So, you know, give yourself some credit for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I love is bringing out the energy, the passion, like how like telling the story.
Yeah.
I feel like I've become more and more of a storyteller.
Yeah.
And I've also learned to that the artwork turns out that much better if I put the time into research.
Yeah.
And get in this mindset of feeling like I am that player.
Right.
Or what they did to get there.
Put yourself-
That's become important for me when I create.
They
I
say
like
a
that.
picture says 1,000 words. So, you know,
That's what they say.
oldest one in the book. You know, as an artist, I know, you know.
This is random, but did you ever think about like going into tattooing?
I get asked all the time.
Really? Okay.
I think I have a steady enough hand to do it,
Yeah.
but I cannot stomach the blood and the
Okay.
risk of messing somebody up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just because like how realistic everything is, I was like, like I
Yeah.
wonder if that was.
No, but I see some of these tattoo artists, and like I already know when they're doing the quality of tattoo work that they do, that they could easily be a very good artist too.
Right.
If you can do it on skin, you can for sure do it on canvas, on paper. So some tattoo artists are some of the best artists in the world.
Oh yeah, I agree.
But yeah, it's not for me.
Gotcha.
But I kind of do want to try it, but maybe on like a mannequin or something.
Right.
Or a model.
A mural of Dawkins on my back.
Kev can be your test dummy.
I give you 100%. I can finish my sleeve up. So we mentioned a lot about inspiration. I also want to dive a little bit into like your family. Like, do you have parents in your life?
Yes.
Okay. Mom, dad.
Mom, dad.
Okay.
Yep.
How
Siblings.
siblings?
One brother. Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah. What's his name?
Ben.
Shout out to Ben if you're watching this.
He's not a social media guy.
Ah, really?
He's got 3 kids. You know.
You can send him the link. He'll watch it.
I'll send him a link.
So, how much have they contributed to your, your entire just like your journey?
A lot. Actually, my mom is retired now and works part-time for me.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah,
That's
so
pretty cool.
She helps with like administration stuff. And like it's cool to have the parents helping, and if I can pay them to support them,
Right.
kind of in return for what they've done for me, and also because I can trust them and know what they're good at. So that's been cool. But they've been, I am blessed to have 2 amazing parents.
That's awesome.
They've been supportive my entire life, like the perfect balance of not pushing you too much and not bringing you down too much,
Right.
and letting you kind of live the life you need to get to where you need to be.
That's awesome.
Do they have an art background at all?
My dad.
Your dad does?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That's
go.
part of the
Okay.
story. Yeah, my dad's a super talented artist,
That's really cool.
but he never like had a career with it really. Like he had a degree in industrial design.
Okay.
So for like 10 years, he worked for a company where he actually designed toys that some of them made it to the market.
Oh, nice.
But I know looking back that it was a super stressful time of his life.
Yeah.
Deadlines and all this stuff, and it was not nice for
Right.
him. But he's so creative. He can sculpt, he can paint, he can draw. Every year he makes the craziest Christmas cards you could think of.
That's
that go to
pretty
family
cool.
and friends.
Aw.
Adding in like my girlfriend now, and
Yeah.
adding in my brother
That's
and his
really
3
neat.
kids.
That's
and
really neat.
yeah, so
Were there sacrifices they had to make? Do you think, or have you? Did you notice any sacrifices that they made for you growing up, like for you to pursue your
everything. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that's how you know that they're amazing parents, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they sacrifice everything for me and my brother. Even to this day doing whatever it is they can to help me. So I always feel in debt to them, and
Yeah.
I just want to repay them.
Right.
So that's a goal of mine too.
That's cool.
Are they both from Philly? Both
What's
the
that?
parents?
Willow Grove area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome. So for anyone aspiring to create, looking to pursue a passion of theirs, what's some feedback or advice you could give to somebody who wants to, pursue a passion of theirs?
It's very easy. You just gotta start.
Yeah.
You gotta start doing whatever it is that you want to do, that you're passionate about, and it's tough because there's so many different things that need to fall in place that you need to build. But for me, it really just started with first creating again, putting my work out there. Like, you know how big social media is now.
Yeah.
Like back then, like social media was nowhere near where it is now.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think, but you just got to start with that. Start putting yourself out there. And I've even I've had to naturally become a businessman through this to make the living and do this year over year. But even some artist friends of mine, I've made their website for them because there's a lot of artists that it's hard for them to get into that business mind and do the things they need to do on the business side to put themselves in a position to succeed. But my biggest thing is don't overthink it. Just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you can clean it up as you go along, making a website. Yeah, that's the other thing. You could be the greatest artist in the world, but if you can't drive traffic to your website,
exactly,
nobody's gonna buy it.
Yeah, it's marketing. You have to learn marketing.
And I've heard some people say as an artist say it's 70% business, 30% their artwork. Yeah, I like to think it's 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, the art has to be. Well, the art speaks for itself, but how you market it, how you present it, because if you're, if the content isn't good or if it's not appealing, then it's not going to push anyone to buy it,
Yeah, and even like you said in the beginning, it's always a little bit of a battle to make it appealing when you see it online, when you see it on social media, because as you said, it looks that much better in person. I'm just trying to figure out.
It really is.
It really doesn't do any justice online. You brought them here, and I was like, oh my god, I thought they were good looking at them online, but seeing it in person, it's just so much better.
I appreciate it.
So, other than meeting Brian Dawkins, I know it's a huge highlight of your career so far. What is something you're proud of for yourself?
I think just getting to the point that I am at now, of consistently being able to do this full time, of continuing to not say no to, like, I say no more now than I used to, but I still, like, tonight.
Yeah.
I say yes to
He
opportunities.
said, hell yeah to the loft. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, man. Like, I'm always, like, and I think that's a personality trait too, is like people, like, in a way, one, want to please other people, but also just want to make things happen, want to say yes to opportunities. And that, like, that is a big part of why I got to where I am today, is because I said yes to many opportunities. Sometimes didn't work out. Great. I learned from it. Sometimes you might not make money, but you might meet somebody who it ends up becoming a lifelong client.
Exactly.
You know, or whatever the case is. So I'm just always trying to make the most of every opportunity. Yeah. Yeah.
It's that investment of your time. You know, a lot of times when you're like, you don't, like, for me, like, I just DJ'd at, like, Noto for Thanksgiving Eve, right? Club in the city. And, like, I didn't, for 1 second, I didn't think about how much I was getting paid. I didn't care. I didn't even want to get paid. Like, I was like, I just want the opportunity. You got to take that opportunity, run with it, you know? And then whoever you meet along the way, you know, me and my friends had a great night. We had, Maddie was there. It was just so fun just to everyone just be in that building, you know?
Do you think that, though, like, something, like, I've noticed with him, like, being as close of friends as we are, like, he discredits himself a lot. Like, he doesn't give himself enough credit for all that he does. Do you think that, like, you struggle with that too sometimes? Like, not giving yourself enough credit for all of the work that you do?
I think sometimes I get caught up in my own faults, or just, you know, not appreciating something that happened enough as I should, or just taking the time to reflect. Yeah. And that's another reason why I love doing this, because I get to, like, think about stuff I've done and talk about it, and it's just refreshing for me to remember what I've done to get here. And I really love if somebody can listen to this and learn from it and have success themselves. Like, that truly is, like, brings a lot of joy to most people. Like, to know that you can help somebody else get to that point too, because you know that feeling. Yeah. And I used to be that person trying to figure it out, you know? Yeah,
and it kind of is like a devil's advocate type. It's like, you also know where you can go, and so you're like, you don't want to, like, settle or be too comfortable and never be, you know what I mean? Think, oh, that's it. Like, no, it's just the beginning. You know we can go, and but Maddie is right though. You know, giving yourself credit and reflecting. You know, like you said, that's why I love doing this podcast too, because I get to reflect. You know, even with the guests, like we come from different backgrounds, but you know, we're both in the creative space. We both want to do different things. Was there ever a moment giving your art to somebody that truly, like, moved you?
I think when I presented this thing to that client, that was one of the most relieving parts of not only my career but my life. Yeah. Because I can't tell you how much that started to stress me towards the end of it, because it was and yes, I enjoy a lot of the process, but it's so much. I mean, that drained me. Yeah. That really drained me. And I took a solid break after that from creating anything specific. But this guy had a whole event around it. At his house. Oh, wow. He had people come over. There was probably like 60, 70 people there. And it's 15 feet, the original project, if you can imagine.
Really?
Yeah.
Your face.
15 feet. So it's about the length of this wall.
That was the actual project? This is a replica, right?
That's a replica, yeah.
It was 15 feet? Holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't know why it looks so detailed. Wow.
Yeah. It would be very hard to fit detail like that.
I'm shocked. Where did you put this canvas at?
So it's in this guy's house. Literally hangs in this house.
So you worked on it in his house?
Let me show you something. So on the back side of this actually comes with every, like, print that I sell. This tells the whole story behind the artwork. All the players, all the coaches. There's 41 players and coaches in it. The whole history. I had a sports writer friend of mine help write this. Shout out Louis DeBays. Okay. But he helped me pull this together. And so if you look at the bottom are pictures of me with the original. That's me sitting on the ground in front of it. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you had seen that. That came out in July 2021. And that was...
I did see this picture. But obviously knowing what the story behind it adds way more context. Mm-hmm. I'm going to show it to Manny, but I don't know if the camera will pick that up. But that's insane.
Yeah, that was the first post I put out on Twitter went viral. And that was another one of my
That's so cool.
projects that went viral, like, immediately, which is really refreshing, you know?
Yeah.
Because I didn't even that I didn't even think or expect any of that. Like my goal was just to finish it for my client and enjoy that moment, which was, I have like a whole video I posted too that month of that experience. But yeah, but back to your initial question. That was one of, and he was very moved. I mean, he didn't cry, but like he was a little emotional.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have cried.
If I see that on my wall, I'm like, oh my God.
Because he gave me X, right? And I gave him XYZ. Right. And I took it to a whole nother level.
Yeah. So how important is that to you for that wow factor, or to exceed expectations? How important is that to you?
That's part of my MO, is trying to exceed expectations. I think any artist would say that. Yeah. So, and I've had it happen before where that didn't happen, or like something went wrong. You know what I mean? It hasn't happened a lot, but it has happened, and that's a huge gut wrench, because that, like, over money aside, like that just hurts. You know what I mean? Because I'm just prideful in that.
Right. It's your art. It's literally your art.
And then and sometimes you realize, like, you can't please everybody. Yeah. You can't please everybody. Even for like, and I don't really care, but like this artwork, like I can't tell you how many, like almost all comments are positive, but there are plenty of negative comments too. Yeah, like, oh, how could you forget so and so, or you have Wentz in there, you know, like whatever the case.
Wentz said our Super Bowl run, he was the MVP of the league before he got hurt, so he deserves to be on that wall, whether we like it or not.
Let's not get in that too much, but
no. So that's actually so funny. So yeah, and kind of hitting back on those, I won't call them like those art pieces that may have not went as you would have liked them to. I think those are also super important. You know, obviously, especially earlier in your career. That way, you know what it feels like to have that feeling. Oh wow, this didn't do good enough. Okay, now I take that. You learn, and in like a weird way, you kind of like push in the future to be like, you know what? Now I know I'm gonna over exceed. Make sure I never feel that feeling again. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, everything negative, you know, it's cliche, but you learn from it.
Exactly.
You know? And you need, and nothing is going to be perfect ever.
Exactly.
So you need to have those experiences. It's just part of the process.
Yeah. So let's.
One thing we didn't touch on, like we somewhat did, but like didn't go into detail, was like the Airbnb property. So like that like was interesting to me. Like, how did that come about? Is that something like you want to continue doing? Because the Airbnb is insane looking. Like, it's really cool.
That. Yeah, I did not have enough time to appreciate that either.
Yeah.
I was a grind for a week. It took me like a week to do. But yeah, shout out my buddy Nee, who I was just with in Atlanta. Yeah. He is killing the game. He's a real estate guy. But he had a W-2 for years, and he finally stepped away. Which is cool for me, that he told me I'm part of the reason he did that. That's just because I inspired him through my ability to do this full time. Now he's full time real estate, investing, flipping. But one of the main things he's built is a system to be able to manage Airbnbs, because he did it initially just he has like 4 cribs down in Atlanta now. And he did it for his own, to try to have like a process where he can have the right people in place doing what he doesn't want to do or doesn't have the time for. Right. And all these people started coming to him because he did such a good job with it. Like, hey, can you manage mine? Can you manage mine? So that's really cool. One of the newest homes he got this past year was the one in Atlanta, and he actually bought my original Kobe painting back in 2020. Oh, nice! And it was cool. We actually, man, there's so many things to tell, but we played ball at Temple together. That's how I met him. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. And I guess a couple years later, he was living in Boston at the time. I had kept following my work all the way since the Temple days, and finally pulled the trigger on an original, which was really cool. So I flew it up there to him. I love to fly my original work to people if I have the time, right? Just like I did this past weekend in Savannah. And you know, from that point on, we became much closer, and eventually led to that. This crib he got in Atlanta, that he wanted to make a art-inspired Airbnb with all my artwork.
That's so cool.
And have it like themed. And I mean, these Airbnbs they have, like, they do such a good job renovating.
You obviously posted it, right, on your Instagram, right?
Yeah, there's a whole video that's like a mix match, which I made that video too, by the way.
Really?
Let's go.
It was a good video.
Yeah. Some of the B-roll is actually from a video guy down there, but I combine it with stuff I did. And
see, there's that term. Kev kept saying that earlier, and I was like, "What are you saying?" Like, I don't. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Just clips.
It's just footage. Yeah.
He's like, Maddie, I'm gonna get pictures of, or content of these, and I was like, okay, just say
Yeah.
that next time
and
because I don't know what B-roll means.
Saberm's a friend of the pod too. Saberm, Alex is good.
It's really funny, and I don't know if you would talk to him, but he told me I was with him a week or two ago, because he was helping me do some promotion stuff, and I hooked him up with some art, and he told me he was on this podcast.
Yeah.
And then like almost the next day, you hit me up.
You know what? I think that's why I hit you up, because I saw him post about you, and I'm like, oh, dude, this dude's art's awesome, and like have him on. And
it's funny because I was gonna hit you up. I was like, yo, Saberm told me to hit you up.
Well, here we are. It happened
so
anyway. Yeah, I saw him post it. I'm like, oh, this guy's gotta come on.
I saw when I was on your Instagram, I saw him. I was like, oh, that's the guy Kev had on when we won.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's awesome.
You might have some other podcasts hit you up soon. So stay tuned. Keep your schedule if you can. But I guess we'll wrap up with this. Like, so going forward, I know I asked you about your goals and your missions, but like, what moment, what client would you have in like come on your table to be like, wow, I made it? What's your dream client?
He always hits you
My
with
dream
like
client?
crazy
Oh,
questions.
man. My dream client. A client that will pay me to do a project every year for the rest of my life. No, it's like no.
I'm like, oh, a cop out answer. Nah.
No, like an athlete maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Do you have an athlete specifically? I know B-Dog's your guy, but
yeah. B-Dog, that's one of the top for me. Just
Yeah.
the inspiration he gave me as a kid. I think just like crazy status wise would be like Cristiano Ronaldo or
that'd be
like
so sick.
LeBron or
Yeah.
like just
Yeah.
being like having them come to me,
Yeah.
say, yo, I want you to do X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because those opportunities happen in different ways. Like it'll be the athlete coming to me, or it'll be like so and so like agent for them. Hey, like I love your work. I'd love to give this to so and so.
Yeah.
Or it'll be like an opportunity to give it to them because it'll lead to a relationship.
Yeah, and you'll get a lot of DMs and stuff, right?
Yeah, for
Usually.
sure.
Yeah.
Like the thing with Davonta, like I did the Bama piece first. Before
Yeah, that
we
was
even
so cool. I saw you worked with him. I'm like, dude, like how did he pull that off? That's pretty cool. That's impressive.
Appreciate it. Yeah, that's a favorite piece of mine. And so I did that before we even knew he was going to be on the Birds. And just because I loved him as a player,
Yeah.
he ended up seeing it eventually, hit me up. He's like, hey, like, how much is that?
Did he DM you?
Yeah, and he was very like normal about it.
Well, okay,
which
so
I can appreciate.
I didn't really get to ask this. I should have asked, by the way, but like, when they DM'd you, what was your reaction?
Again, trying to make the moment too big.
Yeah.
I said, this is great. He's coming directly to me. I don't got to try to go out of my way to try to get it to him, right? Because that is another ambition or goal with every piece I do is to eventually get it to that guy.
Right.
And it's very fulfilling for me to know that they appreciate it or know
Right.
that they like it and for them to have one.
Yeah.
So that's a whole thing for me.
What about Dawkins? When
What's that?
when that whole thing, like your feeling of like, wow, I'm actually delivering a piece to Brian Dawkins
Oh, man,
himself.
that was crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That whole day, I was just like, man,
Yeah.
did that just happen? And sometimes he does videos too, like at his house, I guess. But he has it like hanging right next to him.
Oh, really?
I still see it sometimes. In
Listen,
videos.
let B-Dog know. Listen, I'll do a pod with him at his crib if you want, but
Try to
listen,
make it happen.
you can co-host it with me and Maddie.
I'm like, yeah, you're not forgetting me though. I'm coming.
You're pretty cool though. But seriously, thank you so much for coming on. I'll let you, I'll let you get out of here. Thank you so much for bringing your art to display. I mean, where can they find you where can they find you social media wise? Website, where can they find you?
So Instagram is at Spector_art. Same with Twitter. Facebook is Jordan Spector Art. And then my website is just spectorsportsart.com. I sell everything you see here. I sell prints, canvases. I don't offer like original work on there, but you can contact me.
That's a direct one-on-one type of thing, right?
Yeah, you contact me on the website, on social media. I'm pretty responsive, so.
Hell yeah. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on. Check them out. It'll all be linked in the description. Your work's amazing. Super impressed. I mean, like I said, so much better in person. And thank you for giving us your time. You got a busy schedule. You got a flight to catch soon, I'm sure. But thank you so much for coming on. I wish you the best of luck, and I'm really excited to see where you go and where your career goes. So,
Dude,
Jordan,
appreciate it. Same to you too.
thank you.
Thanks,
Hey, man, we'll see what happens.
Might have to come through the no next time you're there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
No,
for
seriously.
sure.
But
It was
yes,
a fun time.
yeah, it was nuts. So I'm Kev Nichols. As Jordan Spector, that's Maddie Thompson. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.